The news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
Ric Bucher, Fox Sports NBA analyst, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. So, Bukes, this is funny before we get to the game last night. So I'm looking at the NBA playoffs first round schedule. I've got it right here. I've got game times. They've given game times for first 4 games for all the series. This jumps out to me. Milwaukee's a number 1 seed, MVP of the league, Giannis. 3 of the 4 games are at 1 in the afternoon, the worst time slot. You know, people keep saying Giannis is going to be the face of the league. The league is telling me he's not close. They're putting him 3 of the 4 games that have been announced. I mean, LeBron, when Cleveland was the number 1 seed, he was prime time. You put LeBron prime time. We know the series is not going to be great, obviously. Either was a LeBron series in the first round. What does this tell you about Giannis going forward in the face of the league talk?
Well, he can be the greatest player or the best player in the league, and he hasn't demonstrated that without question, and put the MVP aside. But you have to want to be the face of the league. And you have to be in the right market. You have to have success. I mean, not just the best record during the regular season, but you have to be bigger than that. Let's not forget, like, LeBron James is now the face of the league, or has been for the last few years. He had to win a championship in order to do it. He wasn't necessarily at the very beginning in Cleveland. He was a very dynamic figure. He was a very controversial figure. He clearly wanted to be out there. But I'll put this to you, Colin. Like, what do you know about Giannis other than he's from Greece and he's in Milwaukee and he's been the MVP? Like, what do you know about him from a personal standpoint? He's not particularly active on social media. And I hate to say it, but that is now part of the formula. Yeah. If you want to be the face of the league, you have to expand and be present and visible when it comes to social media and everything else.
No, I mean, listen, Zion's got a better shoe deal than Giannis. And Giannis has been in the league 7 years. And Zion's played 24 games. But Zion's embracing it. He goes to a big program like Duke. He's, you know, it is one of these things where, so my point on Giannis, that's why I think Milwaukee is the most important team in the bubble by far. Because if Giannis doesn't win a championship, okay, and this is an organization that's not going to get a ton of free agents to Milwaukee, and he needs a Lakers or Celtics brand. He does need their brand. Like Anthony Davis, by the way, has no personality. He needs LeBron and the Lakers brand to elevate him, elevate his shoe deal. And by the way, this stuff matters. Kobe made almost twice as much as Tim Duncan, even though they both have 5 championships, because Kobe made so much money in marketing, shoe deals. So to me, I'll just say this. I think the whole bubble, the future of the league could be Milwaukee. If they can't get to the finals or go and get hammered in the finals, I think Giannis, he has to consider leaving, right?
Look, from a business standpoint, you are right, but you have to take into account what I said at the beginning, which is that what Giannis really wants? Does Giannis want to be the face of the league? Is he worried about the business aspect of things? And everything that I know about him and have heard about him from people that have coached him and played with him, he's not that. He's loyal to a fault, and he would never force the hand of the Milwaukee Bucks to send him someplace that he doesn't want to go. And let's be realistic. If we look at teams that he could compete for a championship with, especially as the result of this pandemic, they're financially not going to be able to go out and get him just as a free agent. So it would have to be as a sign and trade. And I was told by one of his former teammates, Giannis does not have the personality where he would force a sign and trade in a million years. That's simply not how he's built. So honestly, the league, if you're counting on Giannis to be somewhere where he can be the face of the league moving forward, you're going to have to go back to the drawing board. It's going to have to be somebody else. And that, honestly, is where the league is right now, because it's not only Giannis, but you look at the Clippers, who I have winning this whole thing. Kawhi Leonard is the face of that team. by default in some ways. He's a sphinx. I mean, you couldn't ask for a guy who tells you less, and while is a dominant player, I don't know that you can build the face of the league around a Kawhi Leonard either, and he's in a major market.
Yeah, it's really fascinating right now. We don't have the heir apparent to LeBron James. Harden's game is aggravating. Giannis isn't it. Anthony Davis. I mean, these guys don't. Ben Simmons doesn't talk a lot. It looks like it's Zion to me, so you just cross your fingers that he stays healthy, because I think he'd be a great star. I mean, they're already reworking the bubble schedule for Zion, yet with Milwaukee and Giannis, they put him at 1 o'clock, and he's the MVP, and he's been in the league 7 years, and the league's telling you, he doesn't move the needle. Let's put him on the 1 o'clock game. Okay, let's segue to this. Last night, to me, wasn't just about Dame, who I love. Mm-hmm. It's about an issue in basketball that drives me nuts. We give all this love to Westbrook and Kyrie. We don't give as much to Dame and Chris Paul, they're all great. But two of them are winning basketball players, lubricators, not agitators. Last night was the third piece of evidence. Just in Brooklyn, the Nets are better without Kyrie. They made the playoffs without him. Pre-bubble, they were better when he wasn't on the floor. And in this bubble, they were 5-3 and should have been 6-2. They beat the Clippers. They beat the Bucks. They had the Blazers in trouble. If you're Brooklyn and you're looking at this right now thinking, okay, Kyrie's coming back, this is a little bit of an issue, right? That's got to be discussed a little, right?
Oh, 100%. Because it is Kyrie coming back. It's Kevin Durant coming back. And can you meld those guys with Karis LeVert? And look, Karis LeVert carried the water last night, and he's been a dynamic player. He's also been an injured player. But this is the danger when we play fantasy basketball with real-life people, is the personality and the attitude of a player matters. It can't just be their talent or their fearlessness in the clutch. It matters those things don't matter as much when it comes to the leadership. So whoever your best player is, you better hope they're your hardest worker, and you better hope that they care about everybody else. I could make a case where Kyrie Irving and a half a dozen other players are more talented. Anthony Davis, Ben Simmons, you've mentioned some of them, Karl Anthony Towns, Kyrie Irving. I could make a case that all of those guys are more talented than Damian Lillard, but they're not in the top 50 or 75 when it comes to leadership, because what you have to have above all else is consistency and consideration for everybody else around you and how what you do impacts everybody else. If you watched that game last night, Damian Lillard orchestrated it. He was going to let C.J. McCollum, you get us off to the start. We're going to feed you. Nurk, we need to get the ball to you to dominate on the inside because Brooklyn is playing small. He wasn't worried about what his role was going to be, but every time the game got to a crisis, and you can follow it go back and watch the score. Every time there was a crisis in confidence for the Portland Trailblazers, Damian was like, I got this. I'll make a play. I'll get something done. I'll get to the hoop. Like, he was thinking the entire time about, how do I lead this team? I just don't see the same consideration and thought process with Kyrie in word or action. And there's no way around it. When a guy is your most talented player, he's going to take up a lot of space. And if he's not thinking about how he impacts everybody else all the time, then you're never going to maximize what you have.
It's going to be interesting. So Houston, Oklahoma City is the story of the year. They were supposed to be a total rebuild. Chris Paul, I think, should be top 5 in MVP. Best mid-range shooter now with Kawhi in the league. Now no Westbrook for Houston first couple of games. I look at that and I think to myself, would not be shocked at all if the Thunder, young, they've got size with Steven Adams. There a lot of energy, multiple shooters. Does OKC beat Houston without Westbrook?
I have them beating Houston without Westbrook, essentially because, Look, the rules have been changed, unfortunately, for a number of these teams, Lakers included. The rules have been changed as a result of this bubble. Number one, your depth and versatility, especially when it comes to the playoffs, is going to be more important than being top heavy with your talent. The second thing, and this is probably the biggest thing, is that I don't know how much experience really matters in the bubble because you're not dealing with the same playoff dynamics that you normally would. Your role players having to go in to hostile environments, having to travel, having to deal with, you know what, we're on the road and people are all over me and I just missed 2 shots. Man, do I really want to take that third? That pressure doesn't exist. So your team and the chemistry that it's built over multiple years or even over the course of the season doesn't have the same effect. And I look at Oklahoma City in particular, and you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you have Dennis Schroeder, you have Chris Paul, you have a multitude, Danilo Gallinari. It's why the Suns were so good. I was making my all-bubble team, and you pick Devin Booker, and then you go, well, they were so good, 8-0. I got to pick a second guy. I had like 5 guys that were all on the same plane contributing in a big way. I believe that is the model for the teams that are going to go somewhere in the playoffs, which is certainly you need to have a star, but you need to be able to rely on 4, 5, 6 different guys to contribute in a significant way because injuries are going to happen. Ben Simmons and Russell Westbrook are not the last big names to go down. The schedule is too compact, and there's been too short a runway for us to get to where we are right now.
Good stuff, Ric Bucher. Enjoy it, my man. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Colin.
Coming up next, there are reasons, multiple reasons, why Giannis will never be the face of the league and why Zion is closer to that already. There's a lot of contributing factors, and I think it does matter. I think money matters. I think Tim Duncan would be happier today if he had more money. He made half of Kobe's money because Kobe embraced being the face. Kobe was a Laker. Kobe's game was charismatic. Kobe made a ton of money overseas. Kobe had a style that got him a massive shoe deal. Duncan never had his own shoe. If he did, I've never seen anybody wearing the Tim Duncan shoe. So we'll talk about that, the bubble, and Russell Wilson. As close as Russell Wilson comes to criticizing Pete Carroll, that's next. Folks, everybody needs a great pair of wireless earbuds, and Raycon's, this is good news, half the cost of other leading brands. Yeah, half the price. Their newest model is the Everyday E25 earbuds. 6 hours of playtime, more bass. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.